Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Nora Rahal at the Detroit Free Press. Before Santa comes to town, Mother Nature will roll through with a winter storm expected to hit southeastern Michigan in the days leading up to the Christmas holiday. Expect temperatures to fall quite dramatically as we go from the regular work week into the weekend, with Thursday temperatures standing in the 40s, then going into the upper teens as we approach and get into the weekend. That according to the National Weather Service. Directly quoted from Rahal's article, quote, at the time, there's still a lot of uncertainty with the system, but we're expecting precipitation to begin as rain on Thursday and then change over to snow sometime on Thursday night or early Friday morning, and closed quote from the National Weather Service's White Lake office and meteorologist Megan Varsey. The article continues on saying, quote, at the moment, we are expecting 4 inches of snow or greater, but expect that number to change as we head into the week, and closed quote. Most of the snow is expected on Friday of this week, with some stronger squalls on Saturday as well. That according also to the National Weather Service. Friday will be the worst travel day, according to the NWS, leading into the holiday due to the weather in this particular pattern being most severe on that particular day. Also, a good idea to bundle up at night as we go into the weekend this week, as weekend nighttime temperatures are expected to be in the single digits, not including wind chill. Power outages due to high winds are expected, with high winds upwards of 45 to 60 miles per hour. From Nora Rahal's article directly quoted, to prepare for a power outage, DTE suggests assembling an emergency kit in advance, including a battery-powered radio or TV for updates, flashlights, extra batteries, candles, matches, water, and non-perishables. If you're traveling, there's a link in this article that has additional winter weather driving tips in case you do need to travel during this winter storm. Prepare a winter emergency kit for your vehicle, including hand warmers, extra mittens and socks, emergency blankets, reflective emergency triangles, first aid kits, cell phone power cords and a power bank, ice scrapers, and a flashlight, among other safety materials. Fill up your gas tank at least halfway full prior to the storm, and leave plenty of distance between yourself and vehicles on the road. Additional tips from DTE and from this article from Nora Rahal at the Detroit Free Press: allow 6 to 8 car lengths between yourself and snowplow trucks, or as our good friend Craig Bryson from the Road Commission for Oakland County always says, don't crowd the plow. Pack sunglasses. Snow and ice on the ground can worsen sun glare for drivers, especially those with some eye conditions such as astigmatism. Pack a phone charger and make sure you can receive updates on weather and road conditions as you travel. Plenty of more tips and additional links for more information can be found in this article from Nora Rahal on our website today, CivicCenterTV.com, on our local news page. Also making headlines there today from Mark Hicks at the Detroit News. The Salvation Army of Metro Detroit says it is falling short of its holiday campaign goals, which we're seeking to reach $8.2 million in donations this holiday season for their Red Kettle campaign. According to their metrics, numbers are down about 17%, equating to about $750,000 less than expected or is typical in a regular year, the Red Kettle campaign. If you'd like to help, you, of course, can make your donations, and those are paramount, but so is your time. The Salvation Army continues to seek volunteer bell ringers across the community. You can do it the traditional way, standing outside at a number of different locations, ringing the bell, collecting donations in their red kettles, or you can even host a virtual Red Kettle drive this season. Both ways can be done by registering at registertoring.com. Registertoring.com is the place to go for that. To donate, you can visit sametrodetroit.org. It's sametrodetroit.org, or call their number at 877-SAL-MISH, 877-SAL-MICH for more information and to make your donations. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Lucas Smolchich Larson at MLive. A large swath of property in Washtenaw County may soon become a nature preserve. About 44 acres in Saline Township have been acquired on Macon Road by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources as of December, from funding, of course, coming from the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund that goes toward the purchase. Location on the Grossman property in Saline Township, along with its proximity to the Leslie Needhammer Preserve in York Township, make it an attractive purchase for the DNR. Now, the deal still has a couple of final steps to go through before it becomes officially official at the statewide level, seeking approval from both the legislature and Governor Whitmer, which will put the final stamps of approval on the grant from the DNR fund via the state's appropriation process and protocols. Directly quoted from the article, quote, "The project is one of 45 outdoor recreation and land acquisition projects in line for a total of $23.3 million in funding from the trust fund in 2023. Additionally quoted from this article, quote, "The acquisition of the Saline River Preserve would be the first spending in Saline Township from the county program that protects natural areas and farmland." All those headlines making news today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Tuesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next as you get ready for your holiday travel, those last-minute plans, and some weather considerations coming into play as well. We'll talk to Odie McKinley from the Michigan Department of Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which oversees Travel Michigan, which of course is where you get Pure Michigan from, and Michigan.org. They'll join us next to talk about all those different factors. And then after that, I have some strong words for my alma mater. That's coming up next on the Megacast.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to MichiganWeek.org for details.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the state, including our co-flagship, My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand. CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast for all of that information and more. Joining us now on the program is Odie McKinley, the Media and Communications Manager at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which of course oversees Pure Michigan as you're getting ready to travel this holiday season with, of course, some other considerations in play, such as weather, family, and plenty of other activity involved, all of which takes some planning, some execution, and knowing some tips and tricks from experts such as Odie. So we thank you for joining us, Odie. And first, I just want to ask, as people are finalizing their holiday plans and they're getting ready to hit the roads this week, what are some things that they should be considering before they put the final stamp on those plans and then put them into practice this weekend through the rest of the year?
Well, Tyler, you're right. It is the time for travel. It is the time to spend time with friends and family, and it is the gift-giving season. And as you mentioned, we're not 100% back to pre-pandemic travel numbers, but we are getting closer and closer, which is great news. People are getting out, supporting the travel industry, supporting the small businesses. But when looking at traveling this holiday season and throughout the winter, for that matter, it's incredibly important that we overemphasize people plan, schedule, make reservations, just because there are so many people traveling, and with potential staffing challenges, just make sure that you're reaching out, setting your schedule, making the reservations, to ensure that nothing impacts your travel or your experiences throughout the state.
Let's dive a little bit deeper onto that. Given the staffing challenges that our lodging industry has been experiencing all throughout the pandemic and in the 6 months to a year after the major parts of the pandemic have started to subside, just how big of an impact could that have on people if they're trying to book hotels or change some of their plans last minute, as opposed to maybe starting them or wrapping them up about now with a week or so to go until the major holidays?
Yeah, as long as people are planning what their activities and events are going to be, then everything's going to be fine. And we all know that last second changes happen, and people adapt and accommodate to those changes. Um, as you're looking at this time where maybe some people have some time off work, just getting out and exploring some of the great parts of the state, both our dynamic city centers like Detroit or Grand Rapids, or the more traditional up north vacation where people are heading to some of the ski areas, some of the resorts, water park areas, um, just to enjoy the time with friends and family. This is the time of the season where people are able to do that. And when you are out and at restaurants or small businesses, just be kind to those that are working at these establishments. Um, it can be a tough time because people are busy, and if they're understaffed, uh, the challenges aren't gone yet. And so remember that they are there helping make your experience and memories um, to the best of their ability. And so we just remind people to be kind, and always, as I say, when you are out traveling, support the small businesses, not only the restaurants and hotels, but during this gift giving season, support the local businesses in either the communities you live or the communities you're traveling to.
When you think about this time of the year, or really across the calendar year, those major travel times, you think about Thanksgiving and the December holidays, Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend is another big one. And each of those different times of the year comes with different traffic concerns and different varying times when people may leave their homes in order to travel to their destinations here in Michigan or in other places. And so that can also have an impact on people's ability to travel effectively and travel efficiently. And especially this holiday season with what we're expecting weather-wise across the state of Michigan over the next week as well. What suggestions do you have, or does the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Travel Michigan have in terms of, what are those times people should be aiming to maybe that move from their home to their destination? Are there particular days that are in the past are typically bad days necessarily to travel because of increased traffic?
Well, there's never bad days to travel, right? There are more congested traffic routes on certain days, but I think it's just kind of the common things where certainly check the weather forecast to make sure you're not getting yourself in trouble. And if there's going to be a particular day where the weather looks particularly bad for driving, maybe leave a day early, maybe leave a day late. Let our colleagues over at the Michigan Department of Transportation make sure the roads are nice and clear and safe for everybody. But ultimately, I think just going along the lines of safety is never be in a rush, right? Make your arrangements that fit your schedule, and when you get out on the road, be safe, pay attention to the weather. Wouldn't hurt to go to the MDOT website to make sure you're aware of any construction areas. As we get later into the winter, those continue to decrease, but during the heavy traffic times, it's always good to know where you might run into some backups due to the construction.
And as they're making these decisions, often last minute decisions, depending on the weather, that can also affect their travel itinerary, especially when it comes to lodging. They may have a specific check-in date and time range. If that is going to be changing because of the weather affecting their ability to travel, what steps can consumers take in order to protect those plans and hopefully not lose out on that hotel room or those other plans they maybe have had on the docket that might have to change in these scenarios?
Yeah, I think that there's a number of different ways that those variables can impact travel and your, in this case, hotel accommodations. I would just say make sure you're reaching out to the hotel, see what their policies are due to weather constraints and cancellations, or checking in a day later, say. Um, but just make sure you've got all the information available to ensure that your travels are impacted as little as possible. We know Michigan roads can get a little slick in the winter, but again, just be safe. And people need to make the decisions they need to make to ensure their vacation goes off without a hitch. And safety is generally at the forefront of that. So just work with the hotel, see what their options are, and worst case scenario, if you do need to book a night in another hotel until your original hotel gets or made available, sometimes those need to happen. And just sometimes understanding that your schedule can be a little flexible is always a good thing to have in your back pocket.
More information can be found on different places to go this holiday season, different activities to participate in by going to Michigan.org. Michigan.org, a good place to go, and also across the state of Michigan's various department websites to deal with traffic concerns. You can go to MDOT's website for that to learn more about traffic projects, and of course, check in with your local weather authority as well to keep up to date on weather reports. We're joined by Odie McKinley on today's edition of the Megacast. He is the Media and Communications Manager at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which oversees Pure Michigan, on today's edition of the Megacast. And with a few more minutes with you today, Odie, as we are getting toward the end of the year, we're in the thick of the holiday season. There's plenty of fun activities to engage in community to community. Where are some of those locations? Of course, Michigan.org is a great place to go, but other locations, maybe locally, you would suggest that people are looking to if they're trying to participate in some of these holiday activities that are fun for maybe themselves, maybe a couple, or even the entire family?
My wife and I just spent a weekend down in Detroit, and what an incredible experience that is with the Cadillac Lodge and all of the pop-up markets. If you're looking to get in the festive mood, go to downtown Detroit. It is just an amazing experience. Certainly, the number of restaurants with just fantastic dining options really is something that surprises us every time we go down there. It seems like there's a new restaurant opening every time we get to Detroit, which is a great problem to have, trying to decide which restaurant we want to go to. But it also, on the other side of the state, the Muskegon Sports Complex with the luge and the ice skating is another great day trip to experience winter in southern Michigan, or southwest Michigan in this particular case. But also, as we are getting close to full ski season, ski areas across the state from southeast Michigan to the western tip of the UP is always a great opportunity for family to spend a weekend together, getting outside. But not only downhill skiing, right? With cross country skiing, snowshoeing, tubing, fat tire bike riding, ice skating. There's just so many opportunities when you get into some of these ski areas that they offer in addition to skiing, just to make sure everyone in the family is having a great time and experiencing what that particular ski area or resort has to offer.
Of course, you can find more information on a variety of activities across the state of Michigan by visiting Michigan.org. Michigan.org is a great place to go to find attractions all across the state of Michigan, including in the Detroit area as well as downtown this holiday season as well. We're joined by Odie McKinley, Media and Communications Manager with Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which oversees Pure Michigan, on today's edition of the Megacast. Odie, before we let you go, a few more minutes left. Anything else that people should be considering as they're getting ready to finalize their holiday travel plans. They're getting ready to enact those holiday travel plans in the next couple of weeks.
We kind of chatted about it a moment ago. Just remember to be safe, plan ahead, and be willing to have flexible schedules based on any number of variables that may impact those. But also, as we get really into the depth of the holiday shopping season, again, I just want to reiterate the importance of supporting local businesses throughout the state. For more information on how to support local businesses, and again, that might seem kind of counterintuitive, it seems pretty straightforward, but I recommend people going to michigan.org/shop local or support local. My apologies. When you are making a purchase in one of these small businesses, 68% of that dollar, every dollar spent, stays in the community. So when you think about the number of people that could potentially be buying holiday gifts for friends and family throughout these small businesses, the impact is incredible. Again, not only for the communities in which the businesses are located, but certainly the shop proprietor and the employees that work there. So we want to continue to remind people, when looking to buy gifts for this holiday gift giving season, think about supporting the businesses in the communities in which you live or the communities in which you travel to.
More information can always be found on michigan.org for both this holiday season and traveling across the Great Lakes state all throughout the year. Odie, thanks so much for joining us.
Tyler, have a great one. I appreciate it. I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yes, we will chat with you very soon, and a happy holiday to you as well, Odie.
Be well, sir. Well, Tyler, you're right. It is the time.
Appreciate having Odie on with us on the Megacast. Odie McKinley from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation joining us on today's edition of the program. Again, you can always find information on traveling across the state in a variety of different times of the year, a variety of different activities and locations at michigan.org. And we regularly speak to Odie and others from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Travel Michigan, Pure Michigan, all of which are under one umbrella with the MEDC. We'll actually are planning on having Dave Lorenz on the program very soon to talk about more opportunities this winter, including this holiday season across the state of Michigan. He's always got the great inside stuff too, just like Odie has, and Dave Lorenz constantly traveling across the state. He'll be back on the Megacast very soon. We'll have him on later on this week, according to our current plans. We also want to make it clear again, some inclement weather is expected later on this week, particularly in southeastern Michigan, where we originate our show in Oakland County. So it's important that you keep up to date on your local weather. Of course, we'll have updated reports as they come in here on our show, but we're just 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock live every day and live to tape for replay, with replays as well across our network 5 days a week. So that's not necessarily going to give you the best info. So continue to look at your local TV and radio station, look at your local TV stations, listen to your local radio stations, and go online. Weather.gov is the website for the National Weather Service. You can go right to their website in the top left corner, enter your city, your state, your zip code, and it will give you weather updates, including some timing predictions. As what was said in our first article today from Nora Rahal from the Detroit Free Press in our headline segment at the top of the show, it's somewhat known what may happen over the next few days, but some of the finer details aren't necessarily understood just yet because this weather pattern is still developing and still approaching our local area. But certainly it's going to have an impact on your holiday travel, especially with the holiday being over the weekend and into the early parts of next week. For those that have maybe Monday off after the Christmas holiday, that's going to affect your travel, both as you're heading into the holiday and potentially leaving Thursday or even Friday. And Friday's expected, according to that article and according to reports as of now from the National Weather Service, to be the worst travel day throughout this storm. So you're going to want to keep that in mind as you head out on the roads this holiday season, in particular over the Christmas holiday. But, we're in the winter season now. We're in the part of the year where we're going to have snowy weather. We're going to have icy weather. And with the way that our weather patterns have been going, particularly here in southeastern Michigan, with the warming up and the cooling down back and forth, higher chance of severe weather. When you have those temperature changes, that's where you tend to have a lot of those windier days. Wind gusts in this particular storm are currently forecast on the high end between 45 and 60 miles per hour. That's why DTE is also warning of a potential for power outages. So this is something that we're tending to see a little bit more often nowadays, and something to definitely be prepared for, whether you are staying home for the holiday season, have people coming in for the holiday season, or are traveling, or even some sort of a combination of all of the above. Definitely going to want to keep up to date on your local weather as these patterns come in and things continue to change. If you're watching on our Civic Center TV or on My Michigan TV or other outlets on the TV side, you'll see right now we're on the National Weather Service's website, weather.gov, where in the top left of the screen, it'll say local forecast by city, state, or zip code. You can enter your zip code and it will give you an updated local forecast. This is also some of the information that is going to your local TV and radio stations as well as reporters making updates on social media. All good places to look for your local weather updates. National Weather Service, maybe the Weather Channel, Weather Underground, whatever outlet you trust on the web. That is from a trusted outlet, and of course from your local news affiliates as well. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, some actions happened on Monday at my alma mater, Michigan State University, and I have some things to say on behalf of the MSU community, or at least speaking some of the words of the MSU community that align with my take on things in our segment, Tyler's Take, coming up next on the Megacast.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes state, including My Michigan TV. That's all on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Find us on demand, find all the places we are in your local community and on the web and all around the world on our website right there. Once a week, I get on this show and give you my analysis into something that's caught my eye, sparked passion in my heart, or at the very least, was remotely interesting, probably about sports, usually sports related. Not this time. On Monday, December 19th, 2022, during the headline segment that kicks off almost all of our Megacast programs, I led with a story from the Detroit News' Kim Kozlowski from late on Friday of last week, covering students and faculty's dismay toward former Michigan State University President Luana K. Simon receiving her special presidential portrait, a tradition amongst former leaders of the beloved institution in her former position at my alma mater. Yesterday, in a private ceremony at the Breslin Center, Luana K. Simon's portrait, financed by private funding, per this article from Kim Kozlowski of the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, which was also taken from a statement from an MSU spokesperson, was unveiled, soon to be hung on the walls of the Hanna Administration Building, as have the portraits of past MSU presidents, all of whom were men. Every president exits for a reason, and so did former President Simon. Fraught with scandal, controversy, crime, and the unyielding stench of betrayal and violation, President Simon's tenure ended as she had no choice but to retire in 2018 following the Larry Nassar sexual assault scandal that fraught MSU. It was a time for new leadership because the university's leadership had failed. They failed to protect the student body, to protect their students' bodies. failed to properly address as many as 14 Title IX reports of sexual misconduct by the then Dr. Larry Nassar to leadership at the university. Let me make it clear. According to the justice system, Luana K. Simon is not guilty in the Larry Nassar scandal, cleared in 2020 of allegations of lying to law enforcement about her knowledge of Nassar's years-long sexual assault rampage on campus, which also included locations off campus not affiliated with MSU in any way, due to, as quoted in another article by Kim Kozlowski from May of 2020, quote, a judge ruling prosecutors did not present sufficient evidence to take the criminal case against her to trial, and closed quote. While not guilty in a court of law, former MSU President Luana K. Simon was responsible for institutional failures that led to a line of pain and shattered lives. That's in part what led to her eventual retirement, a lack of faith in leadership at the top due to a collapse of leadership at the core of university institutions. I'm not implying in any way that she's directly involved in any of these collapses of leadership that led to these horrific acts. I'm simply saying when you are a leader and other leaders fail, that ultimately goes back to the person they answer to. In this case, at the highest, it's yourself, the president, and the board of trustees. What Simon did know is that there were Title IX complaints against a university physician. Simon allegedly did not know that the name of this physician, later revealed to be Larry Nassar, now who is in prison, where he belongs, where he was eventually also imprisoned alongside former leaders at MSU like William Strample, a former osteopathic medical school dean and Nassar's boss, imprisoned for 7 months on 2 counts of neglect of duty and 1 count of misconduct due to inappropriate comments made to students. Alongside former MSU gymnastics coach Kathy Klages, who received a felony and a misdemeanor charge for lying to investigators about her knowledge of Nassar's rampant and unrelenting assaults. Simon is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. She has not and will not, by any indications as of now, be found to be anything other than not guilty according to the law. However, when you take on the burden of leadership, especially at an institution of the public, you don't just lead administratively. You're not just the roots of the proverbial tree of public trust. You are the branches, the leaves, and the nutrients in motion throughout. Thus, when leadership collapses, you are the first and the final person the public turns to, or among them at the very least. However, former MSU President Luana K. Simon is not the only one to be looked at here. The Board of Trustees continues to be elected by the people and yet consistently drops the ball when it comes to preserving the public trust and confidence and enacting the will of the people at MSU and leading by example. Whether it be constant division amongst the board members, trustees speaking on behalf of the board out of turn, or closed doors actions being made without the public getting their fair say, or at least getting to say their piece in full, this board continues to seemingly act by itself and for itself, much to the frustration of many in the current MSU community, as well as alumni and others throughout the state. Other examples of leaders refusing to do what leaders do: take responsibility when things go wrong, just as they seek and take the praise when things go right. I believe it's safe to say, and quite the understatement, frankly, that not nearly enough was done on campus before, certainly during or after the breaking of the Nassar scandal, to curb sexual violence at Michigan State University. Sexual assault of any kind is heinous, disturbing, disgusting, reprehensible, and horrifyingly life-changing. So why highlight arguably one of the faces of the leadership during the greatest institutional failure in the history of Michigan State University, arguably? Contractual obligation? Unfortunately, yes. But was the title of President Emeritus and Faculty Emeritus not enough? What about $2.45 million in payout money? Was that not enough of a grand send-off for this historic president? When victims are disturbed, when faculty speak up, when alumni are clearly displeased, why can't it be reconsidered? Why not, at the very least, reach out to former President Simon to come back to the negotiating table and work something out differently? Maybe try to understand how this looks, and more importantly, how this feels to the victims. Not just Nassar's victims, but other victims of alleged and proven sexual assaults during her tenure and the tenure of this board, including several when I was just a lowly undergrad, receiving text messages and email alerts of incidents at the Beaumont Tower or on the River Trail or other locations. Why was this high honor for someone who exited with at least the aura of dishonor virtually disregarded by the board? Sans Brianna Scott, the lone trustee to speak on the issue at Friday's Board of Trustees meeting, stating, quote, "It's a contractual obligation that the university is going to stand by that obligation. But personally, I just want to put it out there. I do not support that," and close quote. At the very least, the protests outside of the private event held by a public university to commemorate a former leader of a public university on Monday were seemingly undisturbed. One lateral step among a constant clacking of steps backwards. James Madison College professor Anna Pegler Gordon perhaps asked the question best at the Board of Trustees meeting on Friday of last week, saying, quote, "Why is this happening over the objections of survivors, community members, and apparently the majority of the Board of Trustees? This culture of abuse, lack of accountability, lack of transparency is continuing today. It has to stop," and closed quote. And referring to the planning of this private event after finals week and winter graduation, describing it as being, quote, "intentional" and, quote, "insulting," and closed quote. Make no mistake, the appointment of Luana K. Simon as president of Michigan State University was historic. It would be a far cry from just for a straight, white, cisgender male like myself to describe it any differently. For over a century, Michigan State University's highest office of leadership was a boys' club with decades of fortifying the glass ceiling, something Simon shattered by taking office and holding office for 13 years. However, as interim university president Teresa Woodruff said, quote, "To be a leader is to be able to lead and sometimes fail," and closed quote. Luana K. Simon failed, and people got hurt. That's nothing to hang a portrait for. We'll be right back.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Break that way, but it was a couple seconds of.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including our co-flagship, My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast is the place to go for all of that. Joining us now on the Megacast is one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. Thomas Wencel is the founder of Jaime's Kids and joins us now on the Megacast. Thank you very much for being with us today, Thomas.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. First off, for those that may not be familiar with your organization, tell us about a little bit of the history as well as the mission of Jaime's Kids.
Okay, well, first of all, Jaime is my daughter who passed away 5 years ago, shortly after giving birth to her fifth child. And Jaime was an unwed single parent. And after a 4.5-year battle with the juvenile court system, we finally got the father's parental rights terminated, and we adopted all 5 children. We've had them for 5 years, and the ages are Nina's 5 now. She was the baby at that time. And our boy Caden is 7. And Jenna is 9. And Paige is 11. And our oldest, Kara, she's 14. And my wife and I had just retired when our daughter Jaime passed away. and we live in a 2-bedroom house. And so to accommodate the children, we're in the midst of a addition project on our house, a second floor addition, adding two bathrooms with 4 bedrooms. And we've some members of our church founded a nonprofit for us called Jaime's Kids, which helped us get donations and volunteers for our project so far. And we do things with veterans, senior citizens, youth sports organizations, and environmental issues. We sponsor and put on a creek cleanup and rain garden maintenance every year, along with helping senior citizens with summer chores and winter chores and building handicap ramps for veterans and a lot of stuff that we do for the neighborhood and their community.
So Thomas, for those that are watching on our TV outlets, on our streaming outlets, watching even on demand, possibly in the future at civiccentertv.com/megacast, they look over your shoulder there in your shot, and they'll see the Falcon logo from Divine Child. And I understand that the Divine Child community's offered quite a lot of support to you as well as to the family. Can you tell us about that support and how critical that's been on putting this family back together as it currently stands, but also the rest of Jaime's Kids and its mission?
Right, sure. Yeah, they've been really helpful. One of the main things is they really helped us out with tuition support. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to afford going to Divine Child, which is a great school. The faculty and the staff are tremendous. I'm a crossing guard there every morning and a lunch monitor every day at lunch. And but their financial support has been tremendous, and their prayers and their volunteering. We have volunteers from Divine Child coming over to help us with our project, weekly. And without them, we couldn't be to where we're at right now. Great, fantastic. The Divine Child community is a fantastic place to be, and we love being there. It's unbelievable.
Let's speak to also some of the struggles that you went through along this journey to put this family together as it currently is after what happened with Jaime, and then to overcome that and eventually get to a point where you're helping other people in various ways in the community.
Well, before Jaime passed away, my wife and I were very active in the community with all those things I mentioned. And when Jaime passed away, obviously losing a daughter, a tremendous burden to a family, and when the grandparents have to raise the kids, that's another burden. And obviously the obvious one's financial. We're on a $40,000 a year fixed income, and without the help of our church, our family, and our community, we couldn't do it. Like there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It couldn't be more true in our situation. We've had the kids in foster care. We thought right away we'd just get the kids, right 5 years ago, and that's not the case. We had to go through a lot to get to where we are now, and to be able to finally adopt them. That was our biggest hurdle, because at any day we knew that these kids could be taken away from us, even though we were the grandparents. We did not have custody of the children. We were strictly foster care parents. And once we overcame that, once we finally adopted them, that took so much of a weight off our shoulders and allowed us to get back to what we naturally do, is volunteering for the community and help people out. We're getting a lot of help, financially. We're back into helping the community out, and our church. One of the biggest hurdles, and it's not a terrible thing, is technology. Because 5 years ago, when I retired, 6 years ago, technology, you could take it or leave it, maybe Facebook or something once in a while. But these kids in school, man, you got to know your stuff. I asked a couple of years ago, I asked one of the teachers if they could put a sticky note in the folder and tell me what I need to do with the kids. They said, "Oh, no, Tom, you go home and go on Google Classroom and no, I don't have time for that. Just leave me a sticky note." And they said, "No, we don't do sticky notes anymore." So, but we've learned technology is a big hurdle. We're still learning a lot about it. It's pretty handy. Once you get the hang of it, I'll tell you, it's very helpful.
Yeah, we've seen, especially over the last several years, given the crises we've gone through as communities here in Michigan and across the world during the pandemic, just how useful technology can be to keeping communities together and keeping families together as well. We're joined by Thomas Wencel. He is the founder of Jaime's Kids, with us on today's edition of the Megacast. You can find them in a couple of different places. You go on to Share Detroit's website at sharedetroit.org. Go to their Find a Nonprofit section and search Jaime's Kids, JAIME''S Kids, and you'll find more information on their nonprofit organization. You can also find more info on 324 other charities and nonprofits across the Metro Detroit area. You can find out more about Jaime's Kids by going to their website, jaimes5kids.com. That's JAIMES, the number 5, kids.com, to learn more information. As you talk about the housing project to get your family into a more adequate space for these 5 kids and your family, and it's making great progress. According to your website, you're about 80% along in that. Just about how far away, of course, 20%, but define that 20% and just how close you are to being able to provide this space for this reunited family. It's such a great story and has done so much to help so many people in our local area.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been an adventure. It's the project's been going on for over 2.5 years, and it's basically self-funded with donations. We haven't taken out any loans or anything like that, so we don't owe anybody money. And I do a lot of the work myself and my family and friends, and we've had volunteers from the electricians union, the carpenters union, the plumbers union, sheet metal workers union, bricklayers union. We've had so many people that have heard our story, and they get here and they say, well, we heard stories before, but once we got here and talked to you guys and heard about your story, this is really special. We want to be part of it. And we have the exterior about 99% done, and the interior, we got the drywall put up. We're starting the mudding on the drywall, and I'm doing a lot of that. I retired as a union plasterer and drywall finisher, so I've got a little handle on that. My thing fell, my eagle, my falcon. But anyway, yeah, we're right now, we're at a part right now where we've had some family and friends that are helping us out. We've got your organization. Boy, I'll tell you, the more I learn about it, the more impressed I am about Share Detroit. I look at it every day, and what a great job that they do. And it's like, it's so helpful. And I just hope that I can, become a little part of this and this big cog in this big machine. But we are right now, we've had some friends that hooked us up with a registry, and everything can be found on jaimes5kids.com. We're going to be ready for paint hopefully in a couple weeks, and we really didn't anticipate it, but we found out that a major cost is coming up in all your finished products, your bathtubs and sinks and toilets and flooring and window treatment and doors. And so we're at that point right now, and we're looking halfway decent. Hopefully by Easter we're going to be done with the project. And I have a little analogy I use. Is our project is like a big 8-cylinder engine in a 100-gallon tank of gas. And 2.5 years ago, this thing was a full tank of gas, and this engine was roaring. And after a couple of months, we got down to 50 gallons, and it's roaring, going good. And then 25 starts slowing down, and 10 gallons, and 5 gallons starts sputtering a little bit. And then someone comes along and they dump 10 gallons of gas in there, and the engine starts going again. And so we look forward to everyone coming over. It's a joy to have people over. It's such a blessing that our community, our church, and our family and friends have come through for us. It's truly amazing. People come here, they say, "Wow, I thought it was a nice thing," but once they get here and they meet the children, meet our family and friends, they say, "Well, I want to come back and help some more." It's really.
So Thomas, you've talked about a little bit earlier, touched on how some of the people in the community, some of the contractors that have come in and have either volunteered their time or even donated their time to and their expertise to help with these housing projects. They said they've heard about it, but then going in and meeting you and meeting the family and speaking to them, it's really changed their whole perspective on the situation. To speak to how this story and then these efforts have grown over the years since you began this project and work to do what you're doing right now to help support this family?
Yeah, you know, this project, it's obviously it's a needed project. It's something that we need, but it brings so many people together. It brought my little community around these several blocks together. It brought our whole city together. The building trades industry, it brought them together. It's just been such a nice thing. It's very heartwarming. And when you hear about our story, how these children were left, orphans, and the struggle we had to get custody, final custody, and then the adoption process, and the people that have helped us all along the way. It's just so overwhelming, and the blessings we've had have been tremendous. I mean, I could write a book about all the blessings that we've had, me and my family and our community have things that happened to us. It's so amazing, and it's something that it brings a smile on my face. And people come over here, and we tell them, me and my wife and the kids, thank you for coming, thank you, and they say, no, thanks for having us. We're honored to be a part of this project, and that's kind of cool. That brings a kind of a little tear to our eye.
James5kids.com is their website. That's JAIMES, the number 5kids.com, or go to sharedetroit.org and search for Jamie's Kids in their Find a Nonprofit section on the front page of their website. We're joined by Thomas Wencel, the founder of Jamie's Kids, on today's edition of the Megacast. Just a few more minutes with you before we'll have to say goodbye today, Thomas. And so I want to ask too, what sort of impact has this had on Jamie's 5 kids? What have they learned about giving in the community and the impact of a community coming together to help other people?
Yeah, that's a good question, because some of the older kids, we thought maybe they would be kind of embarrassed that they're taking donations or having, but they couldn't be happier. They've helped out through the whole process. When people come over, they wait on them, they hold tools for them, they hand them nails, hand them pieces of wood. They see this project coming along, and when we first started this project, we had 100 volunteers that Saturday, and like 50 of them were from Divine Child. And the house got built in like 2 days. The shell was up and the roof was on. So I said, well, this is like one of them television shows you see. We had tables and tables of donated food in our neighbor's driveway. And I said, this is like one of the programs where they build a house in a week or something. I wish it would have, but it was kind of a blessing to take so long, because so many more people got involved. People that we never even would have thought about reaching out to. I've heard about the stories, complete strangers that came over, and the kids welcomed them, and they love the kids. And the kids are seeing this as people giving, and they don't complain one time when I ask them, or they say we want to do something for someone else. We just got done building a handicap ramp in our city for a veteran, and they're always right like that to volunteer to pick up the rake and rake leaves for senior citizens and disabled people. And it's just they've gone through a lot. I mean, it's without doubt, without saying, I mean, they've lost both of their parents basically, and for them to have the attitude that they have, the spirit that they have, they see what good is there out there in the community. And it has a major impact on them, and hopefully it carries on for the rest of their lives.
Well, Thomas, we appreciate you joining us, telling us your story, giving us some insight into the journey that your family has taken and your community has taken, and of course, giving us more information in case people would like to get involved themselves and help you in your organization's efforts.
Well, thank you so much. That was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this interview, and like I say, Share Detroit, a fantastic organization, and they just happened to come along. There's a long story behind that too, but that's just another blessing, hooking up with Share Detroit. So thank you, everyone, and God bless everyone. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
You as well, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Jaimes's5kids.com is their website. JAIMES, the number 5 kids.com, or go to sharedetroit.org and search Jamie's Kids in their Find a Nonprofit section. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. A huge thank you to all of our guests on today's program, as well as Jared Clark at the studio of My Michigan TV, operating as our crew today at Master Control. That does it for this edition of the Megacast. We'll return very soon with a new episode.